And that is important. Now, the question is whether his supporters will take a cue. As Salom said, he quickly shut down someone or some people who were seeking to create the impression that, look, no can, no vote. Yeah. That was important, and it sends the message right down to the grassroots that, look, it was an internal battle. We fought it to the very last minute. It didn't go our way, but this is the time to come back together, put our shoulders to the wheel, and ensure that the party is positioned to do a formidable job in the next election. Now, the question will be, how does a victorious Dr. Bawumia deal with people who are aggrieved after the elections? Like I was saying, it would depend on him and then also the people who feel disappointed. Because you have Educhun supporters, however few they may be. Kwabena J. Japan supporters, however few they may be. And Brian Achampo, who's proven that he has some base within the party. Now, if these people decide to pull away, which I doubt they will, but which is not impossible because we've seen it in the past, it will create problems for the NPP because the party is not in its best shapes at the moment. Paul Afoku, after so many years, is still very much seen to be someone who is on the fringes. You have a former presidential aspirant, the one from the Wache Jacko, seeking to come back and contest national leadership. But again, the circumstances of him leaving government also creates a certain, acrimony, creates a certain impression that he wasn't sort of needed at the center of the party. Now, the party will go into a leadership election, national chairman, general secretary, national organizer, and related positions. The people who stood up and spoke vocally against Bawumia's election, how would the party treat them? How will the people around Bawumia treat them? Would they be treated right? Or they will say, oh, yes, we've gotten our flag bearer already. Now the party should do a soul searching and decide who will be the competent people to prosecute the party's agenda in the 2008 election. If they will be able to allow things to go the way the party would organically want things to go, then it will be good for the party. But if people think that, oh, we have won now, let's face the people who were problems. Let's go after people who want to be members of parliament on the ticket of the NPP, but who spoke against us, then that will be a problem. Mind you, the entire superstructure of the party would also be having the elections from the smallest unit within the party to the biggest. There were people who spoke against Dr. Bawumia. How would his people treat them? Treat them right, you retain them. Go after them, there's a problem. At the end of the day, it is our democracy that will suffer because an NDC government with an overwhelming majority in parliament is running away with everything if you don't have a responsible opposition to put them on their toes.
Now, I want to bring in the subject of gender, okay? If you look at the tradition of the NPP and some interventions they had made in the past, it would appear that the NPP would be moving towards a certain inclusivity with regards to women as part of their decision making. But looking at this race, you have 5 men. How does that look? And the context is their opponents, the NDC, who have a woman as vice president, as part of leadership in their party, in their government. How does this look for the NPP, and is there a possibility of challenging that?
That's interesting. I don't think so. I don't think the NPP will want to make it a point to challenge what the NDC and John Mahama have done with Professor Junano Popachiman. I don't think so. I think they will stay true to what they want to do. They will not be swayed by that. If a woman emerges and a woman on her own merits deserves to be included on the ticket, so be it. But I'm not sure they will go looking for a female candidate to balance their ticket against whatever the NDC may do. So I don't think anybody has really quantified how much a female candidate brings to the table. I don't know. Jenano Pukajima might have brought something to the table on her own as a human being, but as a woman, I'm not sure. If we have that data, then we can have a conversation. But I don't think people voted for her who voted for the NDC because she was on the ticket and because she's a woman. I think they voted for the ticket because they saw her competent and they saw John Mahama competent, and they felt that together they were a safe pair of hands to deal with the problems of the country at the time they won the election and moving forward. So yes, it may be nice to have a woman on that ticket, but I don't think it's something the NPP will worry its head over, especially as we don't even know who will make it for the NDC's ticket for the next election. Mind you, John Mahama is not running. Mm-hmm. We don't know who that person will be for the NDC. So I'm not sure it will be part of their difficulties. Of course, Napo is on the sidelines. Recently he said there was nobody in cabinet as wise as Baumia in his view. And that said quite a lot about whoever was chairing the meeting and all of that, because cabinet is chaired obviously by the president. So if you are saying that, you're not seeing anybody as wise, what are you trying to say? I hope I'm quoting him well. So
I'm sure he was talking outside of the president.
No, but I said cabinet. But president was
I think outside of the president.
Still on the subject of gender, the assumption will be that the candidates being brought are competent, right? But wouldn't it be a card to consider, irrespective of the data you talk about, the absence of a certain data, that having a woman in the leadership would lead to X, Y, Z?
Well,
especially in a progressive world where inclusivity is very important.
Yeah, inclusivity is important. I'm a champion of women and gender for various reasons. I mean, I have 3 girls, and I tell people that.
But on the basis of merit and competence.
It should be on the basis of merit and competence. And that's what I train them to do. You have to deserve your place, not just because you're a woman. If people put you there just because you're a woman, it's not the best. You merit it because you are the right person for it, and you deal with it. Of course, there are structural difficulties and problems with our society. That is why it's our job today to tear down those structures. That's why I'm happy about the election of Jinano Pukajima, so that tomorrow, if somebody wants to aspire to be vice president, it will not be strange because it will have been done already. Yes, we want a woman to rise to the office of the president so that it doesn't become a novelty when my daughters want to be president. So yes, we will support that, but it should be on the basis of merit. And what I'm saying is that I don't think the NPP should go looking for a woman for the sake of it. If there are a lot of women in the party, we saw Natoshi, making a lot of comments here and there. People said if Ken had won, she was going to be running mate. Well, that's fine. I don't know. It's not going to happen now as far as Ken is concerned, because I'm not sure Ken is winning it. It's not winning it. We have people like Esla around. We have Fremont Parry. We have quite a number of well-accomplished ladies in the NPP. And you see, the issue is that they are electing their flag bearer very early. They've elected their flag bearer today. The election is in 2028. That's a long time in politics. The issues may change. We are not even sure what issues we are going into the election with. The economy is always an issue. But today, the economy appears to be actually better, and people appear to be happy with the economy today than it was in 2024, 2023, 2022. So if the election is being to be fought today on the economy, I'm not sure anybody the NPP will bring will have really a chance. Okay, but it's 3 years. Something big may happen. And sometimes you may need somebody to complement that ticket. So you can't, at this stage, be saying that by all means you go for a woman. How about if something happens and you need to deal with a ticket to respond to that, and you've chosen your woman already, and the woman is not a person to help you deal with that problem. So, of course, they will choose their running mate, I think, quite late, maybe. In fact, Nanado did it quite early on one of the occasions because he didn't want all of this confusion. And he was clear in his mind about me. I was the guy to go with him because he had been loyal, etc. I would expect him to wait for a while, especially now that we don't know who the NDC is bringing. It will not be John Mahama. It will be any of the people. We don't even know who they will partner with.
Okay.
They have to wait to see who the other side may bring, see what the issues are, and see who will be best fit to help deal with the issues of the future.
Sky, let me have your take on the gender agenda.
Well, I think it's an important point. There's no doubt that the fact that Ghana has been able to produce a vice president in the person of distinguished professor who led the Cape Coast University for a good number of years and distinguished herself there, became minister responsible for education and did credit to the
Eastern region. Okay. Say you call voter region.
We were critical of.
Eastern region.
Okay.
Say you call voter region. Voter region. So, so president.
Very worthy vice president. Of course, you would not
Canada Japan
say that she compares favorably with the kind of work that Baumia was made to do. First of all, because not so much because you want to do the comparison just for the sake of it. We know her.
Yeah, 1,982
voter.
Wow. 1,982. Brechampo Enya 5,234. 5,234. Dr. Baumia, voter region. Dr. Baumia Enya
that she's capable of performing at the highest possible level of governance. And so we can only wait and see what the NDC does with the top ticket of their party. But the truth is that there are people who believe that she should be given the job. And I think thus far, she appears to be a formidable candidate if she decides that she wants to be the top person on the NDC ticket. However, there are others in the race. But what I want us to concentrate on is the fact that she is a product of a previous election. And so I don't think the NPP should necessarily be using that as basis to determine who becomes, the running mate to whoever is produced as flagman of the party, because that election is gone. The question is whether, if you look within the party, you have people
between Baumia and Keke. Now that you have given them an option that they seem to be more appealing, they switch. And I've told you that this one can be a national picture some few years to come. If we present the same set of people. Baumia already has some edge in Tina.
Of course,
Brian wouldn't be able to win against him. But if I say, and all that,
could be that.
and I would have been exactly. That's something that we need to look at.
Enti egusua Greater Accra mwenye yo
Ashanti so no
Kakra
enti yebahwe ba so far there ebegere se bia betumi asesa bibia kra tumi sesa
yeah
bibia do de bia tumi sesa enti yisefo na ye twen wo mo se de be ya yebetumi enhu but mo started the videos bi ba no me pa cho mo nya sa de na mo ye ma for we started the videos so ba say mo ka gu sa ne ma na mo ye no mo started the back right
but ni nyina nso ka ho bi se bia wo ye party ni e na wo sha ase na wo ye sana think about the bigger picture, because at the end of the day, no muhiya will be on board. But uhuru ni parliament ni because sika komo. Na few come boy asem ketwa. Koba ubekasa ubeye say wonder how more kitiri no sorry. Ya to abane. So there's not a time they say who will be jubilate kakra chaso. Na moving forward no wait me akam ho
huhia pa na na so no kra de ayi Dr. Parker Sindum obu ba ba ni wie ya wo say we mi abi abu ba me mo bi e ko ni
ono mi se ni ma kwanta ma
ni ambasa ni nyina ka ho bi na ma Ghana ye unique in Africa you which one can say this is also there no you know NPP ehwe bi fi NDC for there bi e mo ye mo bi abesenko and na NPP so asserting record bi there to it also NDC for so be so bi dey trend for there no mo dia no so aye asundwe more than a dia we it at the end of the day no see a co general na asundwe against asundwe that time on na say ya de kwa no nti me gidi say e ko no se bebo
I'm saying me I got you there and people are set a very high benchmark and they are farmer in this before when I say I was on the way government in power something ko be anything below standard
Yeah.
I think say I saw more very careful now make sure some more raise the expectations because the president democracy so
the kind of peace that has been a serene environment. Reportage clearly you could see say there has been peace.
Very peaceful. And say this for government in power na nan komo ni power no hold na
Obi Jodiaba was say Kennedy Japan, Dr. Baume 56.8%, Kennedy 40.3%. Now the Okaka or say Kennedy's front collapsed last minute with Brian eating into his numbers. Why Dr. Baumia? Oh, come on. Who's this? Why Dr. Baumia heard his grounds. They say, Ebra. Just say, I couldn't be in last minute,
Latter parts,
can near my year, and I'm to Burramuna and a papa. They say,
anybody was
there's that time, no man for making some arguments, say, can I say, sick as some of them? I could from Kakra. It's a moment to know now, but that sounds like
Elon Musk, I bet if
that is where baby the poster say or yeah Ghana the reliable poster yes
on point
global info analytics
now I never go mess politicians and say baby poster be the baby bar most of them question no papa so no more rubbish. I remember 2024 election. Need some more Canada public road here. We so every do baby and that don't come up by me also. And I can jump across super cool. Edu baby can BT no. The one and a park a crab assistant.
I hope say
from her. I do
Eja Kafra. I hope say no credit.
Say
Obi Oma issue the statements be a Prophet Bernard Elben Nelson Nation on Facebook. Public statements and apology. Or say, I wish to address the inaccurate prophetic declarations I made concerning the new Patriotic Party presidential primaries. Through a book, video, and media interviews, I stated that Honorable Ken Ohene Ejapon will win the primaries and become the flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party. I hope say, there will be now at the end and somebody and now Patrick Amwako. I reposted. So I don't know if
it's true that I personally I think it's too early for that.
On Facebook. Verified, yes. And me yes, so I'm share on one Facebook and so what's it on the chow paper? I also will see so I the chow pa say or boss so say Honorable Ken Ohene Japan and a be winning NPP or primaries need to be a flag bearer now or can they say or go through books, videos, and interviews will make it our state in a sano. Now the word did not come to pass. I missed it. I was wrong. I am deeply sorry, and I ask for your forgiveness. Just as one may say when you're wrong to or patch out. Based on a page now, me wanted dear a verified account of 73K followers, 794 following. The numbers near the so egu honum. And see Abusuafo, you can, correct me if I'm wrong.
It is a no credit.
And
It is a
also
issue because when did that time no who say one miss and then I was also about to miss here and I think say property
and no say
na Jacob now who say you say anka honorable Ken who say you would have stood at that not
another message Council Lutrot Ediaba or say Abana is fake, please. It's not because it's sad, dear. Okay, that's a party, that's a party. In your night, just say verified page, and you're not correct. Okay, it's in your cancer, it's a sad, dear. But the baby say, and you're not correct. Okay, your counselor, that's a par. Hey, Oja.
Also, no saka. Say no cray, say no corner, so the other say no cray, say no pay. Papa Kuno, idea or Shan Comanacasa de Mouse, say, no credit. Nafia Jatu say no cray. But for none, idiot, say no crew, say no crew.
It's a leg.
Yabani, look anyway. Yeah, try easy. Now, one of boss on my ear. No sample of some song. It's not if you're upon what trick. I bet Miss Abri will be here. You should see a pan and so good. See, that's what I hope. Your best they say, Yanwa. Now, yeah, share. Your Betty Bresson, your common penny that you could for my pen and I don't so. You have a corner so if you answer or don't Dr. Baumia, he didn't. Now, I shall say, or no so what in Cassane, I will could be home. And I feel one more company for that canoe. And then one more Nanka woman enough. May share interview be, oh baby. Party penny back on party penny pie back with this or your Bema, Omra party headquarters. Do you think, say, this is the time? As a sign, man, of course, who said, Yatra Benavy, nobody could so we are party executive. So who beg here say, who grant interview, Utumika say, party penny be. I can say be a same continue. So your Bema, Omra party headquarters. The unity by which my man.
Yes, so with the straightforward there. It's a no, almost at this stage, no. Unity in diversity. And no, your dream. I got to about my chairman dream. It is who started with this West North, intimidation. And I say, in Sylvia Bema, Nipano, I say, who pimpin' I couldn't chidia.
Repeating Dr. Baumia. And that would not automatically mean that we should go the way of Ken. So instead of going to Ken, why not move towards what appears to be a refreshing entrance into the race? And in many ways, I think Brian is someone to watch in future internal elections within the NPP, and anybody who has eyes on the life of the NPP post Baumia, whether he becomes president and leaves the scene thereafter, or he doesn't, would have to always factor into the analysis what Brian would do.
Okay.
In the last election, yes, I agree with Sky largely. In the last election, Ken's incursion or coming into the race and the results he made may have created the same impression that he's a guy to look at post Baumia. But here we are having a conversation about a different kind of person now, Brandy Champon. Politics is quite interesting. Something will happen tomorrow and somebody may emerge given the needs of the time. You know, Brian obviously looks very formidable. And all other things being equal, he's the guy to look out for the next election. I mean, post-Baumia, let me see. And
that's beyond 2028.
Yes, beyond 2028. I also think that we want to see the final percentages. The percentage he will make in this election may give him a good say in the party and possibly may make him want to make a few demands from Baumia, depending on what numbers he gets. It will be interesting to see what the numbers are and what he will hope to do with that. for Ken, I'm not very sure. He has to play it well, and he has to keep his guys calm, and they have to ensure that they follow the lead of Baumia to be able to prosecute a good election with a united front. Already, they've said things about themselves. Like you said earlier, they have to bury the hatchet and then make progress for the sake of 2028.
There's something I want to add quickly. If you watch the internal primary elections between the Honorable Upari Ansah and Brian in the Suhum constituency, and you see how Brian has conducted himself in this particular race, it's a vast difference in terms of how the Suhum affair was bloody, was tied on a number of occasions, people cut themselves, and to a large extent, people were really, really, really certain that the NPP was likely to lose that particular seat. But somehow, Fred Oparansa was able to save the day for the party. Eventually, Brian had to move on to his new constituency currently. If you mirror what happened in those years against what happened with the prosecution of his presidential primary elections, I think he has matured over the years. And I am in no doubt that he has shown that he is capable of rising to the challenge at the very top. It's not being insulting. It's not being acerbic. He spoke to things he believed he could do.
360.
And people bought into his message, although there are far and few in between.
Okay, let me introduce another gentleman, a well-known face. Paul Adomotri is the host of Good Evening Ghana, an experienced journalist, and also an author. Paul, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much, Francisca. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And thanks for the copy, Africa's New Constitutional Leadership, 77 Stories That Defined Ghana's Fourth Republic. Thank you.
Yeah. That's my old book.
Well,
but I gave you a copy because the NPP, what the NPP have done today, looks like they have kept with history. And some of that history, especially in the 1998 contest, is shared in the book. The first time that the NPP had this kind of situation, the tradition had a situation where there seems to be a conservative candidate and then there's a great challenge based on the fact that this conservative candidate is either part of the old story or that he cannot win as the election. We need a more vibrant person to win the election. The first time this ever happened was in 1969. There was a man called Joe Appiah who decided that he and a few friends of his and young people thought that Professor Buzia belonged to the old Dankwa system. If we are going to go to politics again, we lost the elections to Nkrumah all the time. Buzia is not the one to win the election. So Joe Appiah rose up. And in his case, he didn't get onto the internal ballot. So confusion came and he left and formed his own party. That was the first time it happened. The next time it happened was in 79. In 79, the conversation was that between Victor Owusu and William Oforiatta, that William Oforiatta was old. He was part of the old order. He was part of the Dankwa order. This is a new situation. We won elections with these old people and the coup came because they were not agile and all of that. And that was successful. Owusu won the contest. He was with the young people and we need to change our party and all of that. Some of the conservatives in the party felt that this was very dangerous. And so they got Upa Willie to form a new party. And then the rest is history. 92, then came 96. 96 was a watershed moment. It was felt that there has to be a new direction to the party. And that new direction to the party in 1996 had been generated by Kwame Pienim's campaign. And I captured that in the book from 96. Kwame Pienim had launched a campaign where he was showing all the negatives of the NPP, the conservative negatives. They are not strong on the ground. They don't mobilize people well. The youth don't like them. They are too old. They are book long and all of that. And Kwame Pienim's campaign was gathering a lot of steam. Somehow, Pienim didn't get on the ballot as a result of a court ruling. Then came Nkofuo. The big question, the big one which has been replicated today is 1998. 1998 is exactly what has happened today. And what happens from today, if it can replicate what happened in 1998, then the NPP has a good chance. And I hope that the NPP will pick from that leaf, and I'm going to tell you what happened. So Akufo-Addo came up as a young man known in the party, agile, radical, and was ready to overthrow the Conservatives. And the concern was that Kufuor is dull, he will not be able to win the election. And again, the NDC became very wary of Akufo-Addo's campaign. They were very worried about it. And rumors are that the NDC supported the Kufuor campaign because they were quite afraid of Akufo-Addo at the election where Rawlings is not running and they have to choose a new candidate and Akufo-Addo is coming in. They seemed quite worried and they preferred a Kufuor candidature, same as today. And so Kufuor won. And the NDC's immediate reaction when Kufuor won was that they are going to win the 2000 elections. I mean, agents of Mrs. Rawlings started writing about, the NPP has given it to them. They've elected Kufuor. It's been, 1 hour, and you can see the NDC sentiments already. They are excited that Bawumia has won. They know how to beat him. They will beat him again. This was the same in 1998. But then what happened thereafter? So when the NPP left the Congress in 1998, the sentiments were the same as today. Those who thought that they wanted a firebrand to change things, and they felt a bit disappointed. But sometime after the thing, 6 months down the line, I was in Akufo-Addo's office in Adabraka as a lawyer, where he addressed Kwabena Japan and his supporters and said that, look, if we don't go and support Kufuor, we can't win this election. If the NDC wins the election, they would have won 3 elections. So whatever it is, let's get down there and support Kufuor and make sure we win this election. He was a loser. He put his people together. And then the campaign began to take shape. And then suddenly the Kufuor campaign of 2000, with Kufuor, they call him the gentle giant, who was a conservative. His campaign was completely radicalized because the radicals took over the campaign. And it's completely radicalized. So if you watch the 2000 campaign, which I capture in the book, the NPP campaign was the more radical one because it was led by Akufo-Addo and his team, Victor Newman, Stanley Blankson, Nyahuta Maklo. These were the radicals. And they lost the election to Kufuor. But they decided that, look, we need to support Kufuor to win this election. So the story is told that eventually Kufuor won. Now, let me hold that story and come back. So if the NPP going out from today would have to come together and win, they'll have to follow that leaf. The most important people are going to be Kennedy Agyapong and Brian Achampong. How the two of them convince their teams to come together, but also how the Bawumia victors manage the reconciliation. And I think what must happen is that they have to drill down to the numbers and decide that Charles Folson supported Kennedy Agyapong, and he's disappointed. He's a member of parliament. Who knows Charles Folson? Richard Sky knows Charles Folson. Okay, Richard Sky, can you start working on Charles Folson? This must come from the Bawumia victors. Can you start working on Charles Folson? Who knows Sticker? Paul Adomochi knows Sticker. Paul, can you talk to Sticker? At the top level, Mahamadou Bawumia is talking to Kennedy Agyapong. Mahamadou Bawumia is talking to Brian Achampong. Nana Akufo-Addo and all of them are there. They can put that together. But then they must identify specific people, specific actors, part of the radical group, and have people reach out to them one-on-one. It's not going to be the same election of 2024, 2028. The NDC is the focus right now. The NDC is the party in office. I have realized in Ghanaian politics that it is almost a zero-sum game. If you are pointing to the voters how bad the opposition is, you shouldn't even do it. It's useless. It doesn't work. We talked about the alternative is scary, and the alternative is that, which was data-based, data-driven. That look at John Mahama, look at his time in government, look at it, all of that was there. But we have found out that in elections, people don't worry about the opposition. So you, the government, you have to deliver. And it's easy for the opposition to campaign. And the NDC is finding that out. If you look at the NDC communication, they are beginning to find that defending government is more difficult than just shouting that somebody has done something wrong. So a lot of them have petered away. A lot of the NDC communication people you see, including even those abroad, they've all petered away. Where is the defense of the government policy? They are not able to do it because it's not simple. It's not a simple matter to take a government policy to explain as a communication. It's very difficult. As for opposition, you can just say that he's a thief or he stole the money, and everybody's listening to you. So what's the summary of this is that the NPP have stayed conservative, but if the NPP wants to win, they will have to go back to the leaves of 1998, and especially Akufo-Addo is still alive. What were his sentiments after 98, and how did he get himself into the campaign to develop such a successful campaign in 2000? I've heard Kennedy Agyapong speak an hour ago or so. I get the sense that the sentiments are right. If it's a fair speech, and the sentiments seem right, and he's also determined to have the NPP win the next election because he mentioned that. So the
I
NPP
want to come in a bit.
Let me just give you, just getting it on good authority, that Kennedy Agyapong just spoke with the Dr. Baumia. On phone, they had a hearty chat, and in that conversation, he conceded defeat to Dr. Baumia and promised and pledged that he will be working with him to be able to secure victory for the party in the 2020 elections. And that's just coming up. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think
So the concession has come.
Yes.
So
So they
that's
are sort
how
of done for the night.
So-
on the line.
So they are heading towards the center.
So now I think what must happen is Baumia must rein in his people who might have felt offended by some of the utterances and conduct of the Kent
Okay,
team.
just because Paul just
Okay,
came, I
right.
want to just get his impression so far. Paul, before you got in, we discussed a number of things. We looked at the expectations. Many don't feel surprised with Baumia's lead and what will be his eventual announcement as the winner, and what they call the surprise factor being Brian Achampong, and perhaps disappointing Kennedy Japan. What's your take?
I'm not surprised at all about Brian Echampo. I'm not, because I followed his campaign. I traveled to Abetifi to sit with him on a Sunday. He asked me to come and sit, and on that Sunday, I was there for about 6 hours. I saw him talking to delegates. In each session, he spoke to about 1,000 delegates. Buses bring them from far away. They come into the hotel. He addresses them. They go. Another group comes. They go. Another group comes. Then when he is done, he is now setting off. And he explained to me that he's doing this across the country. So I've always said that, we have to wait to see the results, because Brian has done the work. He has pressed flesh. He has done the density of the campaigns everywhere. If that doesn't matter, then we'll know how the delegates are thinking. If, however, that matters, it also indicates how the delegates are thinking. I'm not surprised at all about the showing he's making. What is surprising, though, is that it was always said that if Brian were to make 14 to 15% of the vote, which is, I think, where he's getting, then the election will go into a second round. That's what we were told. I've looked at the figures in Central Region, and I'm beginning to think that it was there that Dr. Baumia was able to pull the first round victory. It was in Central Region, and I'm doing a comparative analysis with 2023 when they met. So you will see that Central Region sort of went for Baumia, and they decided that, Ken is their man. They voted for him all the time, but some places changed. The Northern Region has been very stable, and the other impressive factor was that in Ashanti Region, Dr. Baumia was winning almost everywhere. And I'm waiting for the Ashanti figures. It was 66 the last time. My people in Ashanti, in particular, Andy Usu, tells me that it may be 70%, and we're waiting to see how that goes. So if Baumia is winning 70% of the home region of the NPP, that's not too bad. Even if he doesn't get the 60% he got the last time, and he's getting 57 or 58, which is where it looks like we are ending to say praises to Musa Dankwa, who predicted it. We will still be excited that Dr. Baumia was able to increase his turnout in the home region of the party. That is where you need to mobilize the people. That is why they didn't turn up to vote. They didn't come. So if in that context, within the Ashanti region context, he's increasing his votes, I think that is very, very applaudable, and the MPP should be excited about that. Eastern region also comes. Brian, again, he was expected to do very well in Eastern region, but he was expected to, in Eastern region, take away from Baumia significantly. Brian showed up, but Baumia also really showed up. Volta region is another place that Kennedy Japan was expected to do well, widely. It didn't come as big. Oti region, Muhammadu Baumia was expected to win, he won. The 5 northern regions expected to win, he won. The other conversations that must start now is, where does the national leadership go from here? But this is something novel that the NPP need to work out. It's more difficult than 98, because in 1998, what happened was that the national elections had been held 3 months before the presidential election, because the presidential election was now going to be held 2 years for the first time. Similar to this one, is held 3 years for the first time. So that time, Odoi Sykes had already been elected as chairman. He was chairman of the party before Kufuor emerged. So he was in charge of sort of the one step below the line of reconciliation. This time, the NPP is now going to move into a chairmanship election race. Well, there are some people who are contesting for chairman who have already indicated that they are Kennedy Japan's people, or who people believe they are Kennedy Japan's people. There are others who people believe they are Baumia people. I'm going to take it upon myself, and I'm happy to say it in the company of good friends like you, that I'm going to talk to Kwabena Japan, it's my very good friend, to ask him that he should run for chairman of the party. I think if we can get a situation like that, we are really getting somewhere. Kwabena has been serving the party for long. He's been an unhappy party servant. But he's been very loyal to the party. In 2020, he came for the campaign. He served Dr. Baumia. He's been unhappy. Kwabena Japon's house is one of the few places I can walk in at 2 a.m. and still expect to be seen. The last time I left his home a few weeks ago, it was 2:20 in the morning. So I'm going to take it upon myself, and I'm calling for people to support me. I don't know whether Sky is going to support. That we should get Kwabena Japan to run as chairman for the stability's sake, for combining the history and the future. It's very, very important. You have Mamadou Baumia as presidential candidate. He was the NPP's last presidential candidate, so now he's a true blue NPP person. But Kwabena Japan comes from further away. So it is important to fix somebody like that in the national leadership. I don't know whether I have any views on General Secretary, but I think that for the work that Kodia has done, for the age that he holds, I just think that Kodia should be allowed to go, but I don't know what the party will decide. But in terms of the chairmanship, which is really important for reconciliation, for rebuilding, and Kwabena Japan was part of that 1998 team. So it is very critical that he sits in that position as chairman. I will hope that if he can agree with us, and then Dr. Baumia can use his influence, he should run unopposed as the chairman of the party for the purpose of 2028 election. If after the election NPP wins and he wants to leave the chairmanship,
but there's Afoko and there is.
If Kwabena is coming, Afoko won't come.
Really?
Oh no. If Kwabena is coming, Afoko won't come.
How about Jaco?
How do you know that?
I'm guessing because they were all from the same leaf back in the day and they suffered the same. So one of them can be chairman. And I think that Kwabena's chairmanship will receive less resistance from the establishment as opposed to Afoko's chairmanship. On the simple reason that Afoko went to battle in court with the party. Kwabena could have battled in court. He decided he doesn't want to. So, and Kwabena was invited by the party to be part of 2020's campaign. So he holds very good offices with the Akufo-Addo group. He holds excellent offices with the Kufuor group. He had been on Baumia's campaign in 2023, so he had demonstrated loyalty. He is an old, very, very old member of the party. He was there from 92. So if we fix him there as chairman of the party, I think that a lot will flow very nicely under him. Then you come to regional chairmanship. Ashanti is going to be important. I would wish that Chairman Wontumi does not present himself for the chairmanship anymore.
I think he's running for national.
That one too, I'm not sure. But I would wish that Chairman Wontumi, who is a great friend of mine, should not present himself. I think Koka has done enough to become Ashanti regional chairman at this stage. And so we see the bickering is on the NDC side. So the NPP, having elected their leader, must reduce that bickering. Fortunately for them, they've elected a leader who is conciliatory, reconciliation. Dr. Baumia is the kind who would like to sit in meetings to decide who should go against who. He's that kind of person. So that works. What's the good news for the NDC, the NPP, is that whilst the NDC is going to fight, for presidential governments, the most pronounced one being the American one, and maybe the Ghana one globally, no party, ruling party, has changed candidates and won the election since 1998. Since 1988. The last time was 88. How many years ago is that? 40-something odd years. And that was George Bush, number one. He was vice president to Reagan. And then Reagan, they started from 1980. They won 2 terms to 88. And in 88, the vice president, George Bush, ran the election and he won. And he won against a guy called Dukakis. Since then, no one has changed candidates as a ruling party and won. So we can look at it. Bill Clinton to Al Gore, lost. Even the great Barack Obama to Hillary Clinton, lost. Okay. And in Ghana, we have seen it. Rollins Mills lost. Akufo-Addo lost. So that can send some hope to the NPP that if the NDC were to win the election, they will be defying one of the major odds of
So you look at internally what the NPP can do. How about a party that went into government for 8 years and was voted out? How will they make themselves attractive again to the Ghanaians who sort of lost hope in the NPP?
Well, the Ghanaians lost hope in the NPP, and you can't blame them for it. Every government that ran election, almost every government that ran election in 2023, 2024, after the global crisis, lost. So the NPP took a major hit. A day in politics is a very long time. And so 4 years is an absolutely incredibly long time. A lot can happen in that period. Because President Mahama was defeated with nearly 1 million votes. 4 years later, he was defeated by 500,000 votes. The NDC continues to hold the view that that election was rigged and they didn't lose and they won and all of that within a 4-year period. In 2000, the NDC had taken a major hit. In 2004, Mohamed Mumuni and others had filed the first election petition against the victory of President Kufuor in the 2004 election because Jacob Echebe Lamte, and I think Sky was with me that night. Yeah. Jacob Echebe Lamte, as information minister, announced the results at the castle. It wasn't that simple for Kufuor to deliver the second term. even though 2000 had been quite comfortable. It wasn't simple for Akufo-Addo to deliver the second term, even though 2016 had been comfortable. It was difficult for John Mahama to deliver for NDC the second term in 2012, even though they had won in 2000. We remember the court and all of that. So all is not lost for the NPP in terms of getting attractive. Here we are in 2026. Government has started. Okay, Atuforsen has been praised and even almost getting onto the ballot for the NDC because he's done well. I don't write that home because in 2017, Ken Oforiatta was nominated by the World Bank as Africa's finance minister, something. In 2018, the same. So if you are in your first year, and again, you can't find what the NDC is doing, but the macro indicators are good. Assuming you write an equation of the macroeconomic indicators and you put in there $100 a barrel for oil today, if that happens today, does the NDC have something to do to make sure that the petrol price stays at single numbers? I'm not sure they do. So really, that's just a fleeting something. It may continue, it may pass. It's not based on policy. It's not based on anything. It's just a fleeting something. We were told that gold was doing very well for us. Over the last 2 days, arguments on social media that some gold has been sold, half of the gold is sold, and it was used. So it's starting. Fifi Kwete gave a press conference recently, and all hell is broken loose. From Monday, after the NPP Congress is over, all of us media people are going to be on that because A+ says that Fifi Kwete is low budget rollings, and so those things are going to happen. Now, that makes it even worse because he sits with the NDC, and the NDC is not going to query him in Parliament. They're not going to do that. So if they don't do that, then it means that he's speaking the mind of some important person. And these are the things that are going to happen. So with all of these things, if the NPP is able to focus, as I said, pick from the leaf of 1998, what did Nana Akufo-Addo do? Why did he decide that having lost the election, we should still support Kufuor? And they were able to radicalize Kufuor's campaign. What happened? If they can repeat that, then we have a big fight on our hands. I support in the NDC Johnson Asiedu Nketia. I believe that he's going to be the candidate. And I like the way he's going about it. He's going to be chairman first this year. Then he will take up the chairman cloak and become... By the time we say all that about Asiedu Nketia, and Bawumia is focused on his campaign, he gets his running mates ready, it's going to be a big fight in 2028.
I want us to talk about the conduct of the delegates. The criticism over time has been the sophistication of delegates and claims of vote buying. Okay, today, for instance, there were few reports of claims of monies or what you call transportation. People engaging in scuffles here and there over 200 CD transportation. Sky, let me get your take on that.
Look, I think we've said this, we've spoken about this that the law is clear. The PNDC law that governs our elections is clear that you are not supposed to engage in preaching. That includes providing for transportation and all of that. The political parties sort of hide behind the whole claim that, they are providing transportation, and therefore, people should not regard those as significant the law. I'm in no doubt whatsoever that